Your background from how you got to this point in a brief nutshell?
Well, I was adopted when I was 4 weeks old in the Second War of 1942, and had a very happy childhood. And then a couple of years ago, 2010, I decided I'd like to just see if my biological family was around still. And so I had a very good social worker who specialised in finding lost people in England, and she found my mother. She's still alive, she's 88, she lives by herself, she's perfectly hale and hearty, and incidentally she only lives about 65 miles away from where I live.
Wow.
And I've been living 250 miles away until quite recently, so that was extraordinary. And then I got a half-brother, because she married later, another Polish man, and I have a half-brother who's a dental surgeon, like me, extraordinary, and a half-sister who's a lawyer.
Wow.
And I've met them all.
Only recently?
Yeah, yes, in fact. I met them I met my mother for the first time in January of this year, January the 12th of 2012.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, so that was, your mother's name is that?
Beryl Mannery.
Okay. And from your side, this is the first, so you are his cousin?
Half-sister.
Half-sister?
From the father's side.
Okay,
From
okay.
the father's side.
And is it Maria, your mom?
Maria was my mom.
Okay, and she passed away, I believe, recently?
Oh yes, no, she passed away in...
a year after my mother.
Yeah, 1982 my mom passed away.
Sorry,
Okay.
92, eh?
92.
Okay, so your mother and your mother were sisters?
Yes.
Okay.
My mother
No,
was
sorry.
her mother's... Her mother was my mother's daughter.
Yes,
Yes.
and you were sisters.
We were
Sisters.
sisters.
Okay, excellent, excellent, okay.
So Christine is my niece
Yes, and Chris's niece.
and Chris's
Oh.
niece.
Wow.
Half niece, yes.
Yeah.
I'm so confused with how all of this
are.
ties in.
Yes.
I'll give you a family tree. I think we've got it.
Family tree would be good. Okay, so now, when did you arrive in South Africa, Chris?
Friday last week, so 17th of August.
August.
And what did you expect before coming here?
Well, I'd spoken on the phone and we
Okay.
exchanged lots of emails, so I knew what I was coming to in some ways, but you don't until you see them. So no, it was a great joy to meet Christine, and Teresa came to the airport to meet me, and I was able to bring my son. I've got 4 children, and I was able to bring my oldest son as well for a day. He worked for British Airways. He had a day off. He said, "Oh, Dad, can I come?" So I said, "Yeah." And we asked Teresa and Des said yes. So he came. Arrived on Friday morning, went back to England on Saturday evening.
Wow.
Had one night in Stellenbosch with Christina's daughters on the town. He's 21.
Okay, and your daughter is?
Lisa
20.
Skippers.
Okay.
And Nicole Skippers.
Nicole Skippers. Okay, so they're basically the same age. They enjoyed the
Yes.
night in Stellenbosch.
Yeah.
Is this the first time you've been in South Africa?
No, I was here 40 years ago. I've
Okay.
been working overseas in Australia, and I came back via Mauritius and had some friends and an ex-fiancée who lived in South Africa, so I was here for about 6 weeks in 1970.
70. And
Yeah.
was this in Cape? Did you come to Cape Town?
Yep, yeah.
So in Cape Town, you were here, and there were parts of your family here, and you had no
Never
idea.
Existed, no.
Okay. Now, when you got here, it obviously you spoke about it all before, and it was overall your trip. If you had to sum it up in a few words, how was it?
Well, so far it's been absolutely magnificent. Yes, it's been a joy.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Getting in touch with family that you never knew you had. Does it give you a sense of self? What made you decide to find your biological parents? Or father?
It's a number of things. Partly my children, yes. My children make fun of my nose because they've got a broad nose too.
Huh?
And I knew because my sister, who's no biological relation, had also been adopted, and she'd found her biological family in England before she died. And she'd done a bit of research into me, and she knew that I had a Polish father, or thought she knew, and she got a bit mixed up, but she knew there was a Polish connection somewhere or other. And I had a very happy childhood with my adopted parents, and really didn't think anybody would still be alive. And then with my own family saying, "Come on, Dad, we'd like to know a bit more about this," they pushed me into it, and it's had a very happy ending.
How did she know you were Polish?
Jenny, because, well, I think she must have found out from the Adoption Society. She did some research herself. I've had to hire somebody because I'm not clever enough to do it, but she did it herself, and she would have probably found out a bit from the Adoption Society in England, because they knew, of course,
Okay.
that my father was Polish.
They knew he was Polish and served in the RAF, right?
Well, he served with the Polish contingent. Yes, he was. He was serving with the RAF in the Battle of Britain. Yeah.
Okay. I believe he was a technician of some kind, or what?
Well, I think so. Yes, he was a flight engineer.
Flight engineer.
Flight engineer. Yes.
Okay, so they didn't actually go up in the planes. They.
I think he did,
Yes,
because
they
he was
did.
bombers
They
in
did.
those days. The bombers, particularly, and Christine will confirm this. They used to have a flight engineer on board, and Christine will tell you that.
Yeah, he was bombing
He
Poland.
was had to
and
bomb
that was
Poland at one stage.
frightening because his wife and their daughter and son were there, and
Yeah.
he wasn't sure whether they were alive or he was killing them.
That definitely caught me. That struck me as insane what they had to go through in those days, huh?
Absolutely dreadful.
And obviously with no communication with that family for 7 or 8 years, I think he
8
was.
years.
Yeah, he
Yeah,
was,
there's no
was gone,
communication.
yeah.
Okay. Who would like to explain what you mentioned in your letter about the history of your father and
The son.
your grandfather? Am I correct now?
Yes.
Okay.
Sure, I don't know.
Because you gave me quite a bit of history in that piece. If you had to sum up, they maybe where they lived in Poland. Do you know that?
Yes, it was now the
Yes.
Ukraine. Yeah, we can tell you that.
Excellent, excellent.
They actually lived in Warsaw once they married. Once my dad and my mom married, they lived in Warsaw.
Okay.
All right. And then he joined the Polish Air Force. And once the war started, then he left Poland and Warsaw, and he went via Christine, Hungary.
Yeah. Maybe Chris knows Ukraine. How did
No.
he get to?
How did he get to England, Chris?
Oh, it's here on these, on these records.
Through Hungary and more
Extraordinary story,
countries, and
yes.
he went to England, and there he joined the RAF.
Wow. And straight through this whole, one couldn't really call it an adventure, let's say, what venture, he never was in touch with your mom?
As far as we know, no, they weren't in touch.
I wonder why that would have been. Is it? It's probably difficult to communicate back then, right?
Yes.
Letters.
Oh, well,
I
the war
think
was still on,
so.
you see, because after the Russians, after the Germans were kicked out, the Russians were in there.
Then the
Yeah.
Russians
So,
came in.
yeah,
Yes.
so it was just.
And Warsaw was where they were bombing. So, and that's where his wife and 2 children.
Children.
were. I mean, they
Wow.
eventually flee
Yeah,
Ran
fled.
away or
ran
fled.
out of there,
Fled.
thinking that they're going to be safer elsewhere. They walked for 50 k's, I think, the 2
Yeah.
kids and the mother, to get to a farm somewhere, so that they were out of Warsaw. And when they came back, I think the house next door had been
Bombed,
flattened.
yeah. Yeah.
So, you know.
Okay. So then, basically, your mother and your sister,
Yes.
they left Ukraine, Warsaw,
Warsaw.
not Ukraine, Poland.
Yeah.
Sorry, Warsaw,
Warsaw.
and they came to South Africa because, as far as I understand,
My dad found them through the Red Cross just after the war had finished. And then
He was your brother.
because my brother died in Warsaw, he said he didn't want to go back to Poland. So he came to South Africa, and once he had found her through the Red Cross, he came to South Africa and he got my mom and my sister to come out also to join him here in South Africa. And then I was the result a year later.
oh, that's amazing. So your brother, whom you never knew,
No.
he was killed. He was 12 years old, right?
He was 10 years
10
old.
years, okay.
Yes.
And how did he die?
He was, it happened just after the war. I don't know the complete story, but then, like Chris says, the Russians came in. Then you get some of the Poles who joined the Communist Party
To get work and
to get work and to better themselves, and they baked bread and they
Yeah, to get
goodness
contracts
me,
with the
contracts
government,
through the communism. And apparently some neighbors were joined this party, and they were the communists. And
I think
I don't know. Yes,
the
you know
brother,
it.
the brother
Whether
then
they were playing with
they
the
were
guns.
playing and they were arguing, and then my mother's brother said to the neighbor, when my father returns from the war, he's going to shoot the communists. And with that, the youngster apparently ran inside, got the gun, and shot
And
him.
shot the boy, shot the young Richard.
And then I think they were now worried about laying charges and that, and I think they offered them a ticket out of
Yes.
Poland,
Yeah.
and
Keep them
with
close.
no charges being laid there.
They did it very quickly,
Yes.
that I know. Very quickly for my mom and my sister to come out.
Okay. And straight through that, I'm sorry, we would, straight through that, they probably, did they even think that, did she think her husband is alive, or do you think it's...
I know, she must have known also through the Red Cross that he was alive.
Okay.
Yes,
Before
and
they left Poland, I
yes,
thought
they
so.
knew that before.
Okay.
So they knew they were joining him in South Africa.
But they came here first, I think.
I don't think so,
Okay, I must
Christine.
look at the papers again.
Okay.
I don't think so.
I've got the route of escape here, Andre. He went from Poland to Hungary, Yugoslavia, Italy, France, and then got to Great Britain.
Yeah.
You know,
That
avoiding
is-
the Germans all the time. To
Wow.
get himself to extraordinary, isn't it? Hungary, Yugoslavia,
Yes.
Italy, France, Great Britain.
Was that, what kind of transport would he have used?
I don't know. You don't know. He might have walked off with bicycles, anything they could have get. I mean, you know,
Fleeing from?
fleeing from well, the
From
Germans were
Warsaw.
when the Germans were, you know, and the Italy, of course, was Axis power, so they were all fighting against Britain, and so he had to keep a very low profile.
And where did you get this information?
This came from his military records in England. The Ministry of Defence in England
Okay.
has what they call a Polish department. You know, the Poles are very highly regarded for the war effort they made, and we still have war memorials for them. And there's a Polish sort of secretariat where I can ring up and find out details, and I got all his records here from them, and it was in those records that I found out how he escaped and got to Britain.
When you hear all those things about your father, does it make you proud?
Oh yes, immensely proud, yes.
Wow. And of all his, what shall we call it, travails that he went through, what would you say was particularly moving, that really touched you?
Well, since Christine told me he had to bomb his own country, I mean, that must have been absolutely dreadful. Yes, I can't do anything else really. Must have been
Yes.
frightful for him.
What other information did you get from all these contacts?
Well, from my contacts in England, I have here somewhere a picture of he made a model of a Spitfire. No, but that's not it.
It's
I
on
don't
the
know
other
what's
side.
gone. No, that's a picture of my sister there. I don't know where that's gone, unless it's in here somewhere. Yes.
Well, tell him the story about that, and I'll discuss the Chris.
Well, he was very good with his hands, and he had this affair with my mother, and he made her a model of a Spitfire, which she subsequently married another Polish man, and she was honest with him and told him that she'd had this love affair with a Pole during the war, and the Spitfire was an ornament in their room. You know, it wasn't hidden.
Okay.
It was an ornament,
Okay.
and the children, my half brother and half sister, remember it being in there.
And your mother, you speak to her often, right?
Yes, well, not that often. I mean, I only just met her in January.
Okay.
That's the first time I met her. So I've met her 4 times since 4 times. In fact, just before I came, the Saturday before I came, they came for lunch. She came to my place for lunch with her brother, her son and his partner, and my sister, my half sister and her partner. And that was the first. I'd been to her house, and we met twice in a pub with the whole family before, but that was the first time they'd been to meet me. So we're still on a getting to know you basis.
Tell me, why did she put you up for adoption? Do you know why?
Oh yeah, in those days she was 19.
Oh, she was 19, okay.
The father was married with 2 kids in Poland, and in those days it was a disgrace to have a child out of wedlock, and also there was no equality of earnings, so she wouldn't be able to earn a decent living to keep me, and so she had me adopted.
And then you grew up where did you exactly grow up?
A place called Chester, which is near Liverpool, in the northwest of England.
Okay.
Very old city.
Excellent. Okay, now from your perspective, I mean, where you approached the, you said it was a social worker, right? Was that you also?
Yes.
Yes, it because
Okay.
we knew nothing about him. So.
Oh, really? So you made
Yeah.
contact to them first. You did the whole search on your
Yes.
own.
Yes.
Yes.
Well, no, through the social worker, yes.
Okay, yes,
through
yes,
her.
yes.
And it was she,
Okay.
after having found my family in England for me, I said, well, look, I'd like you to pursue this and find the South African contacts. And so she did. And lo and behold, here I am.
We had no idea that he even existed.
So who first contacted you? Was it the social worker?
The social
The
worker.
social worker from England phoned Christine's eldest brother and said that they have found somebody who was looking for his dad, and the background was that the father's surname was Fagel,
Okay.
and that could be a connection there with Peter's grandfather, and that's how it all started.
And what was your reaction when you heard all this?
Oh, immediately Peter phoned me because I'm his aunt, and obviously this would be a half brother for me and their uncle, Christine and Peter's uncle. So Peter said to the social worker, well, we need proof from your side that this man could be part of us or
Yeah.
a blood relation. So she sent us proof of
Adoption papers, I think.
adoption papers and also some military papers. Didn't she send that too?
I think so.
However, and then she sent a photo of Chris. And of course, when I saw the photo of Chris, I said, this is definitely belongs to my father because he's got my father's nose.
Excellent.
See, I know.
So I was quite over the moon because I was all alone. All I don't have any siblings, I don't have parents, and all I had was my niece and my nephews. So it was just a nice feeling to know that there's somebody else out there that belongs to me.
Tell me, not knowing another person for your whole life basically and meeting them and realizing they're brother or half brother of yours, is there a connection? Or does it take, do you have to grow up? I don't know.
I think the connection comes. It's something also I think we have to get used to, Chris.
Yeah, we developed. I mean, we didn't throw each other away. We were very pleased when we embraced each other when we met. But there
it's
weren't floods
wonderful.
of tears because
No.
you'd never know. We're complete strangers.
There's not that terrible emotion, and I would say you're a bit scared in the
But
beginning.
apprehensive, yes.
Yes, you are apprehensive in the beginning, and but then the more you talk and the more info comes from this side and the more info comes from that side, then you realize, no, but there is definitely a connection.
Excellent. When are you going to visit him in England?
Once I win the lotto, I'll be there.
Okay, and then so basically, Chris, you only came for a few days.
Yes.
And what's your plan from here on in? Do you feel this is mission accomplished? How long did this take
Oh
you?
no, it's the beginning. I think. Well, I hope that I'll come again, or they'll see me. I mean, now we've established contact. I want to work at it and keep it going. Yes, they've been extremely kind to me. I've had a wonderful time, and I hope that when I get back to England, I shall make regular phone calls or emails,
Yes.
and we will keep in touch. Yes.
Excellent.
And our children have now connected as
Yes,
well,
absolutely.
and I think that's going to bond them for many years. They had a good connection on Friday
Yes.
night in Stellenbosch.
Okay, now you arrived on which day exactly? I can't remember.
Friday the 17th.
Friday.
Yeah.
And what did you guys do in this time?
Well,
Oh,
on Friday we collected him at the airport, which was 9 o'clock, and we just decided that he should spend time with me at home. And Christine spent most of the day with us also, the morning. And then the afternoon, I think you went out for a drive.
Michael
Christine.
and Christine took me out for a
Michael and
drive.
Christine
Yes.
took them out for a drive.
And then in the evening.
And we had a little bit of a dinner at home. The kids went out, so the five of us had dinner. And yeah, and then we were quite exhausted
Oh,
after talking so much.
Yeah.
And the next day we took it from there again.
When you talk, is it about getting to know each other, or is it about
I think
exploring?
we talk more about, we tell Chris about what his father was like.
Yeah.
He was a difficult man, and how he kept his daughters locked up and couldn't have boyfriends, and yeah, so we were basically just telling Chris all about his father and how he brought up his daughters. And
Tell me a bit about him.
he was a very strict man, a very, very strict man. His daughters he kept under lock and key. He didn't want them to leave home. He didn't want them to marry and have families, and he wanted to keep them as long as possible. And yeah, but he was a lovable man, and he was also an emotional man. He had a very soft heart also. He did have Chrissy. He loved his grandchildren. In the end, he loved all the grandchildren, yes.
How many grandchildren does he have?
5. Your 3 and my 2.
So
No, you 3 and my 2, yes. Yeah.
and when did he die?
1984, he died of stomach cancer.
Okay. How old was he then?
74.
Did we mention when he was born? In which year? I don't think
He was born in March 1909.
1909. Excellent. And then he had, in total, he had 3 children, right?
4, 3.
Well, he
Oh,
had
4.
4, yes.
1,
Yeah,
2, 3, and with Chris, then it's 4. Yeah.
Excellent. Okay, now if we start, I mean, it's difficult. Did your father ever talk about his time in RAF?
No, and neither my mom, who lived through the war, she wouldn't speak about it. I think the most we've got is she did a project with my brother, and she basically, I think, did the project for him, and that's what we've read and got a lot of information from.
Is that what you? Oh, that's not.
It's over there, and we read of how they went through the war, so they wouldn't talk about it. No.
Could you tell me? Could you read a small part out of there? Maybe a particularly moving part that you can remember of? Is there anything that comes to mind?
We also, my younger brother also had him over yesterday, and we've got our childhood videos that have been put on DVD, and I mean there was a lot of footage of my grandfather which Chris was able to view yesterday. Hey, was it yesterday, Chris?
Yes,
Sunday,
yesterday.
So that was quite amazing.
Chris, have you ever in this time, were you ever close to, was it ever really emotional? Not close to tears, but I mean to find out these things.
Not as emotional as you might think, because I mean I didn't know him. I'm getting on to 70 myself, so I think that's the thing. Yeah, I don't think I've ever felt tearful about it. It's just a sense of pride for what he did, because he fought hard for us during the war, and you know the pleasure and joy of meeting this lot since I've been here and since I knew about them.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Excellent.
But we haven't been tearful, have we?
No. No.
A joyous celebration.
Yes.
Do you have a part there that you could read us, perhaps?
Christine, what about this part here, the lives of Tara?
There was a part where they walked 50 k's to that farm.
Yeah, that's extraordinary.
Children that she must have dragged.
The other
My
thing, that's
mom
the mother when
and
she
her
went to the
2
first fireworks
kids.
display.
Richard and Jadwiga.
that's
Jadwiga was my
not
sister's
there,
name. September the 1st, 39, the war broke out, of course. Then my grandmother would never join her daughter and her 2 children on these nightly walks, but stayed in her bed and prayed. My granny decided that it was too dangerous living so close to the airport, bombs dropping all around her. One night during a raid, she got up, dressed Jadwiga and Richard, to walk about 50 kilometers to her aunt's farm. It took them 2 days and 2 nights, as they had to walk through Warsaw that was burning and buildings collapsing all around them.
Wow.
And then when they got to the farm, it wasn't so easy living on the farm either.
Weren't they hiding?
They were hiding My mom was actually hiding her brother who joined the underground movement, and they were actually feeding them from the farm also. So they used to come at night, these young boys of 16 come at night to collect food, bread, basically bread, and just things that they grew on the farm, just to have something to cook with, because they lived in the forests.
Okay.
And they hid in the forests.
Wow.
When they got there, the lives of terror, the Germans discovered that the farmers were keeping some of the wheat back and were baking bread, so they ordered that all their mills used for grinding wheat were to be brought to the village square to be burnt. For most of the farmers it was heartbreaking, as this was the only ways of making their bread. I'm just going to go through this quickly. They had to hand it in or be shot. With tears streaming down their faces, the farmers brought forth the treasured mills. I don't understand this really. Stone with a hole in its upper surface into which a wooden handle would be placed, which when turned in a tight circle caused the upper stone to revolve and grow and grind the wheat until it became flour.
Okay.
All right, and that's what they did
I
to
think
them.
they withheld that at that farm. They actually they hid one.
They hid one. Well, one old lady of 72 pleaded with the Germans not to destroy the mills, but send it to Germany where they could be used, but of no use. That didn't happen. The German took note of her, and when her mill was not handed in, they searched her house, and the SS men quickly found it. They dragged her into the square where she was ordered to stand at attention. They crushed, the stones were crushed at her feet, and the hard box smashed and thrown into the pile. She had not the courage to look at the shattered stones, but she did watch as the pile was being set alight. She was still staring in disbelief, shame, when the rope was thrown around her neck and she was hanged. There were many more people to hang for any disobedience, like answering the Germans back or throwing stones at German tanks or trucks. They would be left hanging for days, swaying in the wind, until an order came to take that filthy body off. Then the family were allowed to bury their corpse.
Hey. You know.
So yeah, that's the sad part of the war.
Yeah. Now, it's quite ironic that that's the way life is. It's all these tragedies that, in a way, shape our own lives. And to think that here you're sitting in a whole different world, and the odds, of you guys actually being here, of any of us being here, hinges on a few moments. Which do you have any idea where your father met your mother in England? Was it?
She was serving in the RAF.
RAF as well.
Yes, she was a young girl serving in the RAF.
Okay.
Yeah.
About the RAF, your father never talked about the RAF.
Very much. He didn't talk very much about the RAF.
They didn't talk
no.
about the war.
They didn't want to talk
No,
about the
my
war. I
mother
think
didn't
it was
want
too
to.
painful for them.
Mm.
My mother,
Yeah.
who's Christine's
The granny
grandmother,
who walked to the farm. Yeah.
she didn't want to talk about the war at all.
Okay.
Very little was spoken about that, yeah. The focus is not on my mother here. I think the focus is on Chris's biological mother and my biological father.
Yes.
And I think it must have been very, very difficult for my father to keep the secret of having, because he did know that he had another son in England, but he never ever said that to his wife, the mother of his two children that he left behind in Poland. So it must have been very hard for him, and he didn't even mention it to his two daughters. And we were thinking, like on his deathbed, he should have done something like that. So I think I'm a bit angry with him for not telling us. because now Chris and I are meeting up for so late in life, as we could have been friends for far more many years, for longer. So I think that's the sad part about it. But let's not dwindle on the sad part and just, go on to the happy part. And I'm happy that I've got somebody out there.
Chris, you were born in 42. And when did your father come to South Africa? Was that?
When he was discharged.
1946.
1946. He was, yes, that's right.
Wow.
He was demobilised. He was demobilised in 1946.
And were you put up for adoption when you were born, or do you think there was a time when he spent with you?
No,
not.
Because once my mother, my biological mum, he wanted, apparently she said he wanted her to keep him, but she knew very well she couldn't. And so as she made up her mind, she was a very determined little girl. She was only 19 when she actually had me, and she'd made up her mind that if she saw me, she wouldn't be able to give me away. So as soon as the labour was over, the nurses took me out of the labour ward, and she never saw me again.
Wow.
4 weeks later I was adopted, and she never saw me again until January this year.
Wow. And when she did see you, how was that reunion?
Oh, well, it was great. Yes, again, it wasn't tearful because we were both strangers, but it was fairly powerful.
Wow.
Motion. There I was looking at the woman who had brought me into the world, and for all, I had a lovely mother and father who adopted me, and I always think of them as my mum and dad. Actually, this woman was the one who brought me into the world, and so I was very grateful to her for doing so. What a good life.
Did she ever have other kids?
Yeah, well, yes, she married again, another
okay.
Poland. She's had another, as I said earlier in the interview, she had a son who's a dentist like me.
Oh, yes.
Extraordinarily. And she's got a daughter who's a lawyer, sister.
Wow. And you've met them, you get along?
Oh, you get on very well,
You talk dentistry talks?
Some of the time, yes. I mean, it's, it's a thing in common which makes it easy, yes. But we're gradually finding there are all sorts of things that we do together, which we've done quite independently. Study dentistry for one thing, practice, we're both in practice. And he came to my flat the other day and he said, it's incredible, I've got this and I've got that, and there were a number of things which he noticed that I'd got, which he'd got, and it must be the genes,
Okay, so a year ago you had a much smaller family. In a year it has duplicated, multiplied.
Yes, it has indeed, yes.
Enriched your life?
Oh, certainly, yes.
Excellent. Okay, and then any more thoughts perhaps?
No, nothing, just I wish my mother was here to witness this as well. She could have been here, her age would have been still okay. So.
When did she died, you said?
91.
91, okay. And from your side?
Oh, I just think, I think it's just wonderful to have a half brother out there. And and we'll keep in contact. It's just a pity it's so far away, but as we say, there are telephones, there are emails, so we'll keep in contact that way, Chris.
Yep, certainly will.
Absolutely.
Brilliant.